Hey everybody. The only person that can probably help you is yourself. Whatever kind of abuse you have gone through, it involves the realization that you have been victimized, yes. It might also be that you need external help, and that is perfectly fine. If you have money makes many things easier. So, for instance, if you need somebody to listen to you, and you pay a therapist or a coach or whoever good money to listen to you, no matter whether they have in the best case real empathy for you or superficial charm, doesn't matter. You will get this from them. And it might help you just to speak off your chest what happened to you. But, we need to understand that every power structure is infiltrated by narcissistic psychopath. So when you run from narcissistic psychopath abuse, you will never get rid of them. Never. You might end up in a community where you think, alright, I identify myself as, a victim of this or that kind of abuse. I identify myself as an empath now. Or maybe you have a certain color and a certain gender, and this qualifies you to be adopted by the woke movement, and they give you a safe space, and now you're supported and entitled to do things. You get these safe spaces and so on. All these things might happen, but I tell you, these groups are infiltrated by narcissists. And they basically make the whole movement, in my opinion, useless for real people. Of course, for the narcissistic psychopath, they might give them power. You also need to know that in academic circles, it's a power structure. In medical doctors, in therapists, there are more narcissistic psychopaths than in average society. In fact, you will, this is not, I don't have a statistic here. So what I said right now is actually based on scientific study, but I believe this is not based now. The least you will find in hard jobs, in hard work for small money. If you have craftsmen, social workers, people who work hard and don't get a lot of money and are not concerned about the image or whatever, there you will find the least narcissists and psychopaths. So in every job that is productive also. So whatever a person is producing a product, this is where you might find a niche of where authentic people are, a lot of authentic people are around there. So, yeah, I just want to tell you that all the safe spaces, all the self-help communities. The identification as a victim is necessary to understand what happened to you and leave the abusive situation, but it blocks us if we stay there from moving on. And we need to step out of communities, I believe, as soon as we can. They are also infiltrated. We also have to get rid of the idea that we can dodge or run away from narcissistic psychopathy. It's everywhere, especially where we might look for help. And this is why we only can help ourselves. And we can do this by turning our hypervigilance that we got through traumatic experiences, our hypersensitivity, the feeling that we are always under attack and that they are everywhere. There is some truth to that, but we need to get resilient and indifferent about these perceived attacks. Okay? And we should not be dependent of other people helping us. You also need to understand that most healers, whether they are licensed, medical, or not licensed, most of them, a lot of them, are archetype of the wounded healer, which means they got betrayed by life, they got hurt by life, brutally spoken, they failed in life, and instead of going through a healing process and become independent, self-sustaining, strong, resilient individuals, they became without any more self-development, and they instantly became healers for everybody else. And this is where they get their validation from. But what they do is they just infect other people with their own shared fantasy that helps them to be who they are, to exist. But this is an oxymoron, it means it is this thing that most coaches on YouTube also use. It means you need to convince others that you have a certain ability, and when they believe it, you're successful, and then you have basically you first convince them, and then you get it, and then you have it. And this, you know what I want to say is, the only authentic way in life to be a real contribution to society, not a fake contribution, a misleading contribution. The only way that you don't mislead people is if you really have solved a difficult problem, and then you help others to solve the difficult problem too. And the wounded healer has not solved the difficult problem. He does not sell the solution. He sells, instead of self-work, introspection, other forms of support, whatever. It's not hard, it's not easy to describe, because it's a difficult problem. No, it's a quick fix, a new shared fantasy that actually represses the real problems, that suppresses the symptoms, and lets people live in a defensive fantasy then, Yeah, we have to learn about the roles, the victim, the savior, and the villain. And as I repeat and repeat and repeat, we don't want any of the roles. In the villain, at least, the ego is aligned in an honest way, that a person says, well, I fight for myself at least. While the savior, you know, the only authentic savior, the only authentic victim is a victim that is not aware that they are what they are. So they do this, what's necessary, and then they return immediately into the role of an individual that is more than just one of these roles. But everybody, all the people who insist on being a victim, who insist on being a savior, who choose this role, who choose an archetype, who self-identify, who self-diagnose, who choose this, they basically, they are not real. They are stuck, confused, and also confuse other people with this, okay? So don't trust people who self-identify as healers or victims, and insist and stay and use this as, you know, as a static, not changing, not developing role. So this is, now we're here. Now we finally have we finally made it. Now we are the victim. Now we are the healer. This is in 90 probably more % of the cases toxic. So these people might say, okay, now I'm an empath and now I will teach other empaths how to, you know, deal with this. Now I'm a shaman. Now I'm this or that healer. You know, they can do any kind of holistic practice or whatever and sell spiritual products in form of narcissistic fantasies. I'm not saying that there is not authentic healers out there that use exactly the same things that might work and help people. But we must be very careful, and I suggest be critical, and if you can, help yourself. And leave all these roles behind. Let's see where this goes.